The current topic is design through personal need and interest, learned from the largest urban village in the city of Shenzhen. Here is an introduction. The city of Shenzhen, located at the Pearl Delta region, was originally a village known for its fishing and agriculture business. However, the economic reform and open policy which was issued in 1980 named the city of Shenzhen as the special economic zone in order to attract international investment and cooperation from Hong Kong. In this case, Shenzhen was pushed into a rapid urbanization stage. Over 1,000 village housing was transformed into skyscrapers during the last 4 decades. Urban villages are the unique communities inside the city. They are the former villages which were left behind during the urbanization. During that process, the original villagers were able to keep the properties of this housing as a way to get compensation. Therefore, urban villages were usually built by these local villagers instead of government or any architecture teams. There are over 300 urban villages in the city and they are mostly excluded from the urban planning strategy. The rapid urbanization has created tremendous amount of job opportunity, which caused a high immigration rate. By the year of 2000, new immigrants were counted as nearly 90% of the total population in Shenzhen. Because of the low renting price, new immigrants usually choose to live inside urban villages. Urban villages in Shenzhen provide housing opportunity for over 60% immigrants, and Baishizhou, the largest urban village with 0.23 square miles, provide housing space for over 150,000 people, which is almost 2% of the total population. However, because of the overwhelmingly construction of urban villages around 1990s, caused major conflict between villages and the government. New policy was issued around 2002. A large number of urban villages were forced to be eliminated. Unfortunately, Baishizhou is not a lucky one. This urban village locates in Nanshan district, in which the largest commercial center is planned to be found here since 1980. So, Baishizhou is always considered as the grotesque and undesirable element with the perspective of government and developers. Finally, in 2018, Baishizhou elimination plan was started and the urban village was planned to be transformed into a commercial region. I took a research into the demographic inside Baishizhou. Nearly 50% of the migrant workers or villagers inside Baishizhou work in the local caterings or retail shops, which are built by them. And they are the majority who will lose their house in Shenzhen because they do not have a backup plan or they're not qualified to receive compensation which aims to the group of people with well-education background. I took several visits inside Baishizhou and I found something which cannot be found a lot. Because this urban village community is excluded from the overall urban planning strategy, the planning inside this community is decided by the local resident instead of complex zoning code. During the site visit, I can see residents open a restaurant inside their own living room. I can see residents build a mahjong room inside their market space. Furthermore, despite the low rental price, there's still a large number of people choose this community because of the environment. During my research through social media and interviews, I found that the local residents usually describe this grotesque place as an inclusive and adaptive community because most things here are designed informally. In order to make comparison, I step outside Baishizhou and take a look into two well-renovated urban villages. The first one is Caiwuwei village. The community was owned by the private Kinki company, and the team want to standardize the whole village towards a better outlook to attract multinational finance corporations and state-owned banks. After the renovation of Caiwuwei, it started to be considered as a Caiwuwei model, which refers to renovated the urban village with formal and professional method. Therefore, Huanggang urban village was renovated under this Caiwuwei model and transformed to a modern community. As I observed during the site visit inside Huanggang village, the previous mud road was reconstructed with the specific type of tiles and decoration elements. These villagers created catering space was transformed into highly commercialized restaurants such as McDonald's. A plaza has been built in the ancient spot. Public interaction spaces was transformed to parking space, and residential buildings are started to constructed with expensive addition to match the view from the background. And as described by the government, the overall direction of this urban village renovation seems to build a international community with a great passion. However, renovated with the consideration of commercial and advertisement create a lot issues. First of all, a lot complains about the dramatically increased housing price. Moreover, the renovation caused the elimination of over 300 housing. During this period, a tremendous amount of new house, which implies that villagers refuse to move during the renovation, so they stay inside their house and claim that nobody is allowed to touch their house, were left over on the site, and this phenomenon implied an extremely negative attitude about the over-standardized renovation. Compared to Huanggang and the rest of the city, Baishizhou is a grotesque community with no question, but residents consider it as much more inclusive. So, in my first two pilots, I decided to model some details inside Baishizhou to have a deeper understand how this community is shaped under the concept of building informally. First pilot illustrates how this concept helped to construct the building and infrastructure inside this community. The model is a half block around the entrance of Baishizhou. To start with, the overall planning is unorganized and it does not follow any grid in compare with the nearby residential community outside Baishizhou. Because 90% residents here are immigrants with different cultural backgrounds and knowledge, so there's no standard or any restriction during the self-construct process. The obvious evidence is that the material selection for the construction of each buildings are different. Also, even during the rapid urban village construction, residents here are willing to preserve the old left buildings. Moreover, construction and renovation here are flexible. For example, residents can build the equipment such as the plumbing and electronic system whenever they want. They can add additional structural system as they need. There's no limitation in adding new program, and if they need renovation, they can do it as convenient as they want. For the second pilot, I explore how the concept of building informally helps the resident to shape the programs. The first example is a living room, restaurant collaborated program. The family are originally from the southeast region. They come to Shenzhen a couple years ago and they can rent a pretty large space inside Baishizhou because of the low rental price. The owner decided to open a takeout restaurant with no dining space. Instead, the family living room is placed inside the restaurant. The foreground of this house is used as a cooking space. The owner put the cooking station at the entrance with menu attached. The neon sign was placed above the front door. The background was used as family living room. The elderly were playing mahjong. The housewife was yelling at children because of the homework. They even put their bathroom amenities inside. In the second example, I can see a vegetable and fruit market was randomly built in a 10-feet gap between two apartment buildings. Some of the residents created their selling space and some of them didn't, but they are welcome to just set up a table and sell the fruits and vegetables during the daytime. Moving outside the tiny gap, I can see some residents building their temporary bike repair and housing repair station along the pedestrian. On the other side of the street, I saw a beef marketing station set up on the outside of a 4G mobile device shop. I realized in this community, residents can build such an informal program by simply communicating and making deal with other residents. On the outside of the street, there is a group of residents decided to build a restaurant by adding the whole space attached to an apartment behind. Move on to a deeper part inside Baishizhou. I can see a laundry space was automatically formed in the gap between two 1 to 2 floor apartments. Therefore, inside Baishizhou, I see no programs here are built based on any commercial prototype, and the citizens here pay more attention to fulfill their needs and interests, and less attention to any zoning code. The village welcomes different cultures, needs, and intentions, and encourages random and unplanned interaction among the residents. In contrast, Huanggang Village was developed in an extremely formal way with the rule of commercial and advertisement come first. But so does the rest part of Shenzhen. So my third pilot is to explore the formal situation in a normal residential community in Shenzhen, plus some street view in the city center to make a comparison to the informal design. Here is an example of how a normal residential community will look like. This community includes 3 apartment buildings with exactly same construction method. The goal for the landlord in this community is to attract tenants. The facade was built with the neon light facility which brought people's attention during the night. Most of the public spaces are used as parking space to guarantee a parking lot for the new tenants. The green spaces are well crafted, but there is extremely limited space for social interaction. On the ground floor, there are over 1,000 square feet non-used space. According to the landlord, the spaces will be used as circulation, delivery picking spot, and bike shed. Besides that, absolutely no programs are allowed to build inside.